Okay. Well, I want to thank everybody for coming to our first faculty and staff professional development presentation. We're very excited to have Cody Conrad here from the help desk. He's going to present on Confluence, the how to negotiate around the site and some shortcuts and tips. And if any of you are not familiar with where Cody works, he's the instructional support associate at the help desk. So he's quite knowledgeable in Confluence. So I will leave it to you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Thanks.
And it looks like most of everybody here today is nursing so far, except for Cheryl. But and I've worked a little bit with the previous dean on Confluence and the nursing space. But so it'd be nice to kind of get a feel of how exactly you guys use the School of Nursing space in Confluence, just so I can kind of get more questions answered on how you guys use it. If anybody, I'm not sure if.
Cheryl, Susan, I don't know if you have any particular anything from your perspective for. I know we use different program lists for, like, say, the travel, things like that, but go ahead.
I mean, we use it just about for everything because that's the place we can all go to and share. So from anything from our faculty meeting minutes to our assessment plans. I mean, advisors I know use it quite extensively, practicum coordinators. So it's kind of houses all of our information.
Okay.
And it's kind of like an information clearinghouse, I guess, for the BSN and MSN programs.
Right, okay. And that makes sense to me, just because you guys can lock things down on Confluence, so only certain people can view it, and you can change the permissions there.
Correct.
But so you guys already kind of know all the basics of how Confluence works and what it's used for, but I can kind of show you guys how we use Confluence, and it might give you guys some ideas on some new things you could try. So one of the main uses that we have with CIS is the FAQs and any kind of questions that people have around campus. So I can kind of show you what we have. Oh, I see a little chat here. Okay, I just wanted to bring up that chat menu so I wasn't missing anything. So this is my personal space. I'm not sure how many of you guys use it. You guys all have your own personal spaces you guys can set up. And it's nice because you can have shortcuts here, and here you can see the little tasks that I have created for myself. And so back to some of the uses here. So we use it for sharing calendars. So this is one of ours for our student workers, actually. And we can track who's here and who's not and who's covering for each other. So I'm not sure if this could be something you guys could use within the department. And I know nursing is a little special because it's kind of a mix between staff and faculty. But so this is something we could definitely help you guys set up if you guys did want to use something like this. We also use it for CIS online in and out board. We can see staff-wise in our department who is going to be here. So you can see I have tomorrow off, which is awesome. And so calendars can be pretty useful around the department. I'm sure you guys probably could have some type of use for that. And so back to documentation. So you guys are using Scantron for testing. I'm not sure, do you guys know how many people you have?
That's in the associate degree program. So, you know, this is also used for, right, the BSN masters and also all among campus as well. So, right.
Gotcha. So we kind of moved away from Scantron. We went to ZipGrade, which is just a really cheap alternative. And we used to actually support it here at the help desk, but now it's the online educational team that takes care of it. But we have a bunch of online FAQs here on Confluence that allows the instructors to be able to file it a lot easier, and they don't really have to. They don't have to ask us questions. We still get calls and things because they don't realize that Confluence is here. I would say probably like at least 75% of the campus don't use Confluence. It's more staff-based, definitely. But just kind of an example of one of the uses you can use Confluence for. And trying to think some of the...
Could you show us how to create a personal space and shortcuts?
I most certainly can, because I actually just did that yesterday. So to create a personal space, you click on your name up here, and everybody has their own personal space. It's just they're not created yet. So when you click on personal space, the first screen that you will see, it'll probably say, do you want to create a personal space? And you can just hit create, and it'll look kind of similar to this. It'll just have a little bit here. And the personal space allows you, and it's only locked down to you. You can change those permissions too from here. So you can see that everyone has no access. So I'm the only one that can view and edit this page. And so if we go into edit mode here, we can see, this is just, I only have a few things in here. I have our calendar here for our students and a couple links here that are just, I visit quite frequently. So I can, I'm just trying to think of an example here that I can add. So, and so this is just adding a link onto onto my personal space. So I'm the only one that can see it. So we will link this. Actually, I believe it's evaluation. Yes, that's the one. So this is just searching for a page that I want to link it to. I'm having a hard time finding the one that I want. Okay, so we can insert that link and save it. And this is one way you can get shortcuts just on your personal space. But on the left here, you have your space shortcuts. And that's kind of similar. You can just have links here. So if we go to configure sidebar, we can add a link here. And we can put anything. So if we wanted to search for the nursing space, we can add that as one of our hot ticket items here on the space shortcuts. And then we'll always have that here on the left just for quick access. That's about all I have for personal space here. I'm not sure, Jamie, do you use it for anything else or any other different ways that you use it?
I have a long list of frequently used sites.
Okay.
So I wonder if it might be important to show us how to use maybe some of the icons once we're in a page, if we need to like add a column or add a row or, I mean, see if a quick review, there's a lot of icons there. That might be important to review.
I can probably pull up a specific page if you want me to look at it. Do you have, let me find one in the school nursing. And we don't have to save it. We can just kind of go in. So actually, I think I had somebody was looking to remove these two links here on the home page because we have the MSN homepage here with these two links. And they were kind of confused as to if it would actually remove the pages and delete them. And the answer to that is it wouldn't. It would only remove the links. I'm trying to remember who that was that asked about that.
That was Cheryl.
It was, okay. Solving problems as we go. So let's just, so this one has some columns. So you want to see how we can edit those from here type of deal? Or I'm just trying to find an example. Oh, you're muted
or
too.
even just a regular blank page that you can start without, I don't know, is that something that people might be interested in? I thought.
Okay. Let me pull up. So this is another one of our pages here, the equipment loan checkout. This is where if anybody needs to borrow equipment that we have at the help desk. So this is a very complicated page that has a lot of stuff going on here because it's actually a database for booking things. So that one might actually not be the best example. Let me just go back to my personal space. Okay, so if we wanted to add content, like, we're good at thinking of examples off the bat. So if we wanted to create a table here we can do software testing because it's something we use actually. And we can change that because it's going to automatically go to a paragraph heading. We can change that to a larger heading. And we could do browsers tested. So I'm not sure what, like, specifically you would need for an example. It's kind of hard on the spot.
So one of the things that we have to do for the Honor Society is we have to create every year I think it's called like a child page or something like that, and then we house our minutes underneath there. So maybe that's what she's talking about and that Jamie was talking about, and that would be something that would be helpful to me to show me is how you actually make one of those pages.
Yeah,
I most certainly could.
Like, what does that mean? Yeah.
So, all right, so this home page here that we're looking at for the School of Nursing, it has all of these that are branched underneath it are child pages, and that just means that it's the page underneath that page. So that this is the parent page, the home, and then these here on the left under this page tree, these are all child pages. So, and child pages can have more child pages. It just keeps going. And you could probably see that if we open up like the BSN homepage. We have, so these are all child pages within the BSN homepage. And then you can see within that, there's more child pages. So it can get pretty confusing really quick. But to reorganize pages, it's not too hard. We can actually go into Space Tools and reorder pages. So you'll see this home, this is the parent page again. So you'll drop it down and you'll have the BSN homepage, or just for an example. This is one of the parent pages or child pages off of the home page. So if you needed to reorganize things or move it around, it's as easy as just clicking and dragging and moving it. But you do need access to that page under the permissions to be able to move it. So if you click and drag, you can move this wherever you want, type of deal. I don't want to mess things up, but it's as easy as just clicking and dragging for moving pages. And that kind of answers that hierarchy of that should answer the parent and child page hierarchy.
So how do you create the child page?
So if we were within BSN homepage to create a child page, it'll be, there's normally, so if we create a page right here, it'll create a blank page within the BSN homepage. So the BSN homepage will be the parent. And then as soon as we create this test page, this will be a child page of the BSN homepage. And then if we go back into reorder pages here, and BSN homepage, we have this test one here. So this is a child page within the BSN homepage, and it can be easily moved over to, if you wanted to move it to like the MSN, we can just drop it there. So if we go back into this homepage, you'll see it here on the left. That doesn't necessarily mean that it'll be linked here though, within the body of this page. To add that link, you would have to edit and add the link this way. Oh, that's actually under a different page, but that's just searching. Was it child?
Test child page.
That's good. And then you just insert that link and we can save down here. And then that just lets people easier. It's just easier for them to get to this page from here, but it still is technically under the MSN parent page. So this is just to display it. So back to that, the question on the nursing home page. So if we edit this page, we can remove these two guys, and it won't remove the pages, it'll just remove the links. So you still have those links within here and you can get to them. So that kind of solves Cheryl's issue, I believe.
And how about permission? Oh, sorry.
Yep, go ahead.
If you were done with your point, I had a question about permissions and how that's done and who can do it.
Sure. So if we look at, so this is just the nursing home page. If we click on this little lock icon up here, you'll see that the home page isn't restricted. That anybody, you don't even need a Confluence account to get to that. But that only lets you see these links. It doesn't actually let you get into any of the pages. So if we go into, say, the BSN home page here, you can see that, okay, so this one is still not restricted. So anybody can view what's here, but not, they can't open any of these links, but they can see the links. So if we go deeper into here, apparently this one's not restricted either. I'm not sure if it should be. I would think so, probably because it does have phone numbers and things. So if we did want to add restrictions, we can either do editing restrictions so everyone can view, but only some can edit. So people can still view this even if they didn't have a Confluence account. But if we chose this option, you could choose specifically so everyone wouldn't have access. Only the people that you give access will have access to edit or view. So this is probably actually one that we should set up at some point. Or I mean, we could do it now if you wanted, just for an example.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that's probably good. So we'll do viewing and editing restrictions. And so we also have groups too within. So we have BSN faculty. And I'm not sure if that's who we want to add to that. That's probably a good idea because it probably has most.
Does everyone mean students also, or does everyone just mean all the staff at the university?
Everyone means literally everyone. So if they have the link to that page, they can actually get to it.
Oh.
I mean, you could see who has viewed it too. Let me just see. So, so the BSN faculty should have access to view and edit, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So we can apply that. So now we'll see that this page is restricted with this little lock icon.
Is there a way to, instead of add those that can, is there a way to restrict those that can't? So like all we would have to do is go in and select students and then they can't see it instead of having to add everybody?
So the easiest way to do that would be, so we have CIS, or whoops, Confluence. So Confluence users is a default group that everybody gets, all faculty and staff that have Confluence accounts get added to. So I'm thinking this is probably going to be the easiest way to do that because there is no real easy way to say this person can't have access. It's easier to tell people who should have access to have access. But this is kind of the most broad without opening it up to everybody, like students. And I'm not sure if that's something that you want to have it set to or not. Probably not for this page. And then, so let's go.
I think all of the School of Nursing, isn't that a reference for all of the School of Nursing to look at though? Somebody help me out with that.
I don't know. Do we have ADN faculty on there? I don't think so.
I mean, just so that they can get in contact with us because it's a Zoom directory.
Right.
So like anybody at the School of Nursing who needs to contact us, for instance,
right.
Missy as a advisor for a BSN dual degree student.
Right.
Okay, I gotcha. So let me actually check on this end because I can see the groups and who has access to those groups. So we have the BSN and then we have the AJN faculty groups. So we could open up to, so you're thinking the AJN.
ADN.
I don't know why it's labeled AJN. This is definitely, there's definitely some cleaning up that has to be done in there. But I'm thinking this is probably the old group. But those two groups should hit just about every nursing faculty.
Okay. Now I saw that it says everyone has no access. Do you have to put that even though just to prevent and then add the people that you want? Is that?
So this one actually, it gets added automatically when you restrict it to view and edit. So it just makes it so so you'll have to log in to Confluence to get to this page. And so only people that have access or Confluence accounts, which will be any faculty or staff, would be able to get into it after that point. But because we locked it down to the BSN and AJN, it'll only allow them. And I think I get added as well because I'm a space admin.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There's a question in the chat room there. One about removing people who are no longer working for us in these groups.
Okay. So I believe I would actually have to remove them. So I could send a list of the names to whoever needs it and they can edit those and I can make those changes just because I believe a space admin has to make that change. But so if it's just easier to do it that way because it's easier to just add one group rather than individual people, but you can add individual people if you want. So if I looked up Sherry, you could add her manually, just her individually. So that's always an option. It's just a little easier to do it based on groups. And then let me just read the rest of this comment here, or the chat. Moving pages will also change restrictions. Let me think on that. I believe the restrictions will stay the same as they were in the place that it was before. So you might have to change those afterwards. So what you see here for restrictions, if we move this page somewhere else, it'll still have these same restrictions. So you might have to change those based on where you want to move it and who should have access. And restrictions, I'm just still reading the chat here. Okay, yep, so, and then whoever has editing access should also have access to add or remove people, if that makes sense. So anybody from this AJN faculty should be able to add, like, say, Peter Damflay. And you could test that out. I believe that should be the way it works, though. I think that's most of that chat question. Unless I missed something, just let me know. And I can try and think of the next thing. Recovering pages, if you want to go over that. That's always a pretty handy thing to know. Because I think recently someone had that issue. So let me pull up a page here. So right here, no, so this one's also not restricted, but it doesn't look like it has any kind of information in it that people shouldn't have. But so we can see this was last updated in 2014, but if you made a change and you lost information that you needed, you always have these 3 dots up here that you can click on page history. And you'll see every version whenever you save it here. So we can go back and we can actually compare the current one to an older one. And it'll show you what was added, what was removed and changed and all that here. And we can always revert back to an older version. So that's super handy to have if you make a misedit.
Cody, could you go back to that very quickly?
I sure can. Do you want this page or a different one?
Just two of them that, yeah, this is fine. So
Okay.
the blue highlighted areas, it's like the headings are blue and then some of the text is highlighted blue.
Yep.
That's telling me things that were deleted, added. What is that telling me?
It's that's just a format change.
Oh.
So somebody probably just changed this to bold or
Okay. And then,
something simple like that. Yep, go ahead.
how would we know if this is the version 12 or the version current?
So the current is shown, and then the blue shows format. So what you see here is current. It just shows you what wasn't there, I believe, if that makes. We can actually go back to version 12. Okay. So yeah, version 12 looks a lot different.
So if we, okay.
This is actually what the current page looks like, and what was changed. It's kind of hard to tell without looking at it side by side, but you can view the older version if that's easier.
So right above in the gold box, it says you're viewing an old version. It says compare with current. So
Yep, that should bring you back to this.
view. So there's no way to like side by side.
Not without having kind of two screens. I mean, you could do it that way.
Okay.
Like, I mean, that's probably gonna be the easiest to do it, like side by side, like you're saying. But it doesn't. It just kind of gives you a brief what was changed compared to what our current version is.
Okay, thanks.
Yep. What else do we got?
So you can't see the current version without it showing the changes?
So you want to view the current one without like any of the markups type of deal?
Correct.
So you could do that way. If you just went to, now I'm kind of lost here. So if we pulled up this and then went to page history here. So we can open this in a new tab. Go back here. So we could pull, well, this page isn't probably a good example because there hasn't much changed, probably. But you could, so this is the current one, and then this is the older version. And it shouldn't have any markups here. But you can, if you just pull up the current page, like the way that you normally get to it, it won't have any other markups here. So that might be the easiest way to do it. And then just go into history. And you can open this in a new tab and kind of put them side to side if that's easier. I got too much going on here on my screen. So that might be the easier route, but it is available for you. Let me see. So every space has shortcuts here on the left, so it doesn't look like the nursing space has any right now, but you can add, like if there's pages that you frequently visit, you can add those here, and anybody should be able to add those. So you guys should all have access to that as long as you have access to the school nursing space. And,
Just a quick follow-up question there in the chat room about how'd you put them side by side?
oh, yep.
You do that one more time.
Okay, so let's just pull up a different page, one that's kind of used frequently here. Actually, so we'll go to page history I'm trying to find a page that's kind of used a lot, and I think we should be able to, yeah, so this is kind of irrelevant. I just want to see what page gets, so it looks like we'll go within, yeah, it's the same page, isn't it? So we'll go to this page here because it's recently edited. So if we want to view differences, so this is the current version that we're on. So to view an older version, you click on these three dots here. You go to page history, and you'll see all the different versions here. So there's 57 different versions. So if we wanted to go, let's just go back one here. So if we right click on this and open it in a new tab, it will open up here. And so this is version 56, the older version. And so we'll go back to this original tab here and go back to the current page. So this is what we have right now in Confluence. It's live. And then this is the last version. So if we just click and drag this down, it'll just snap it into its own window. And if you have two monitors, it's a lot easier because you can kind of look at them side by side. But you can just move these around if this is kind of what you're looking for. And then you can also do the markups version of that was by clicking these two and comparing. So let's see, yep, so this was the only thing that were added within those last version. Perfect, okay, yep, and it looks like that answered her question. So let's see, what else do we got here? So we have, I'll show you an example of a page that's, well, a space that is open to everybody. So the Delhi tutorials is like an FAQ page that we open it up to everybody because we want them to be able to view this documentation. And these are just basic, like how do I add a printer for people that are on campus? So if we click on that, we made our own instruction here, documentation on how to add those. So it's just a little easier to give out to people. And again, like you can restrict this to whoever you would like. Right now, we want everybody to view it. So we keep it the way it is with no restrictions. So you don't even need a Confluence account to access this page.
Actually, I'm curious, Cody, how do you can upload a document by clicking that little paper clip, correct?
Yes, yep. So
linking something is something else that I'm curious about.
Okay. Linking, how so do you mean linking? Like attaching?
So, right, like saying, well, like you would upload minutes. Are minutes up? I think the minutes is a link. So I don't know how that's done now that I'm doing this chair position. If you can go into the faculty and staff professional development committee, like how would I upload something there, like a linked?
Let me see if I can find that page here. Is it the development committee or faculty development?
It's the faculty and staff professional development. I can't read that. Or any, I mean, we can use any site.
Okay.
A sample, it doesn't matter.
All right, so let me, actually, I think I have one. So we have this page here, Classroom Technology Support. It gives us kind of locations and labs and everything. Right. So this is one that we upload a lot of PDFs and things on for like lab maps. And so like we'll see, we can click on it and open up one of our lab maps. So to upload one of those to this page, we can just click on the little paperclip guy here and choose a file. So we'll go, we'll do Farnsworth here. And we'll see the files here, but it's not actually uploaded yet. We'll have to hit attachment here, or attach rather. And I already have one that's labeled that, so it's probably not going to let us. But so that will upload that lab map as an attachment to this page here. And so that doesn't actually put it in here, though. We still have to link it. And that's probably, I think that was another question you had.
I think that was my main question. How do we link it into a section?
Okay. So I'll show you here. So we already have ours all linked, but you would highlight what you want it to be linked. Click Insert Link here, and then we have all of our files that are within this page. So they should all come up here. Or we can upload straight through here if you had it downloaded already. Let's actually see if, okay, so we already have that one, so it's probably not gonna let me do it. Let me just close out of this here and go back in. It's 146. All right. So if we edit this, we have the link for the lab map here. So we'll edit the link, and then we'll have that PDF. If we already have it existing because we already uploaded it. But if you did want to upload it again here, we can upload and save that, and it'll link to that PDF. So now when we click on it, it'll open right up. If that kind of answers your question.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. And we can always make documentation for you guys if you ever need it, and you need, like if it's something you don't do very often and within Confluence and you might need a refresher on it, we can always create documentation for you, and that'll live on this Delhi tutorials page. If you ever needed anything, you could always let us know.
And templates, there's another question there on templates and in the chat room.
Okay, so let me just read the rest of this here. So let me see, so if we go into my personal space here, I'm thinking the templates, so when you say templates, do you mean kind of like these layouts? Because I don't think everybody has access to these. It's set to a default within Confluence that you have to kind of stick with, but I'm not sure if that's the question that you really were asking. Oh, 1 second, let me read this chat. Ooh. Okay. So I think so do you want to create your own template for Confluence, or do you want to use like an existing one, or like create a page within Confluence that you could use as a template? Okay, so I'm thinking the easiest way to do that would be to go into your space here. There isn't any kind of built-in feature that I know of that you can do that with, but what you could do is create a page, and you could label it template for, I don't know, whatever you want here, and create a table. And then we can, this is just kind of an example here. So if we had like columns within here, we can copy this page and use it other places. So it might be easiest to keep this page here the way it is, or well, the way you want it to be as a template, and have it available to easily copy, and I can show you how to make those copies. So yeah, you would go to the page or template you want to copy, click on the 3 dots, you go to copy, and then so you just want to choose where you want to save this copy. So I'll just, for ease of use, we'll just put it in the same place. And so it'll copy that page, and you can give it a new name here. If I could spell. Something similar to that. Yeah, and so that one we already have. So that might be the easiest route to do it, is to create a template and have it there and ready for you to copy. That's kind of my guess, but I could try and look into that to see if there is a different way to do it, or an easier way. Is there a way to prevent someone from writing over it? So, okay, is there a way to prevent someone from writing over the template? So the easiest way to do that would be to restrict the access, really. So you could set it so only you or someone else that you don't, well, someone else that you want to edit, to add them to here. So that's kind of probably a good use, that we don't want to use groups. So we could add like Nancy to this. So she would be the only other one that could edit this besides me. So I'm thinking that's probably gonna be the best route for that. And I think that hits that question.
Hey, Cody, quick question.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I missed this. If I did, I'm sorry. You were back on a page that had tutorials or something. I don't know if tutorials is the right word.
Yeah, right here.
Yeah, training and help. Is that something, this is what I might have missed. Is that something that everybody has access to, or only your department?
Right, yep, no, so everybody has access to this. So
I just went to try and find it, and I couldn't find it.
you couldn't find it?
Mm-mm. Is
that when you were trying to search for it? Yeah,
I put in training,
mm-hmm.
and nothing came up, so I put in training help, nothing came up.
Is it, so do you want to try and log out and log back in? Because sometimes it does do that for me.
Does case matter? Because I had my cap locks on and didn't know it.
It shouldn't.
Oh, wait.
And you can also click the little drop down and go to the space directory to find all the different spaces.
Oh, under there.
And the name of it, the name of the space is Delhi Tutorials. It's just the title is training.
Got it. Okay, I found it now. I actually went to those spaces on the menu bar.
Okay.
Arrow down.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone else is looking for this, hold the arrow down on that spaces, and it says Delhi Tutorials right there.
Okay, and if you don't see that, you can go into the space directory, and you can search from there, just because it'll narrow it down a little more.
Great, thank you.
So I could kind of show you. So this is just, so it should look kind of like this, where nobody's actually logged in, and you don't have to log in as long as you have the link to it. And so students, anybody really could access this, and this is how it would look for them. So it's probably a little different than what I see, because they won't have the create or anything.
So if we needed to, every so often when I'm talking to a student, they're asking me, how do I find whatever in Bronco Web? Well, we have a different view than students do.
Mm-hmm.
So is this something I could give them a link to where it says Bronco Web for Students, for example. Am I allowed to give them a link to that page if so, if that was going to help them?
So they're trying to, could you run that by one more time?
So sometimes when I'm talking to students, they'll ask me how to find, I don't know, their schedule, for example, in Bronco.
Okay.
Well, I don't have the same view that students do. So I don't actually know. I just sort of fumble through it with them. If this Bronco Web for Students, now I didn't open it up, I don't know what's actually in there. If that had the path for them to check their schedule, for example, could I give them that link and say, here's the instructions on how to do it?
Yep, that would be, yeah, that'd be perfect. You'd probably save us a call. And
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure that you guys were cool with us handing it out and that they could access it and all that good jazz.
Right. Yep. No, that's what it's there for, really. So,
Perfect.
I mean, it might not be exactly what you're looking for, but we can create those types of pages if it's helpful for you guys. If people are always asking you certain questions, and I think actually, you guys might have access to edit or create pages here if you needed to hand out to students, or else you really could just put it within the School of Nursing page and then give them that link as long as it's set. So there are no restrictions.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And let me, I am from Cheryl here, so I just wanted to open it up. Okay. Let me see if I got any other little tips and tricks here. Let's see. We do have the save for later option. So it's just another quick and easy way to get to pages that you have saved. So I have just a couple. So these are some that I use quite frequently here. And I believe you can, all you have to do is hit the save for later here for them to show up there.
So the difference between that and your personal space is just something you don't want to keep on a long term like you would for your space. That'd be right.
Right, and it's just kind of two different places for that to live. So like this is kind of more like your dashboard for your save for later, whereas this is actual space. Your personal space is your own space, kind of like how the School of Nursing has your own space. So when you hit this little Confluence, it brings you to this dashboard that has just your save for later. I would recommend using the personal space just because it's a lot more customizable. Let me just read this chat here. When I create a template and click save for later, that's something I use a lot, then copy the template and rename. The copy automatically saves for later. Let me see if I can find that page because it's kind of hard to tell without looking at it here. Dawn, do you have a link that you could paste into the chat there for that page? And I guess in the meantime, if anybody has any quick questions. I think we went over quite a bit already so far. Anything else or that you guys can think of off the top of your head? Not really.
Yeah. Looks like Dawn has her answer there.
There you go. Oh, so this one. Or is that? BSN student advisement page. Okay, got it. Copy the template and rename. So we should be able to just check this or uncheck this save for later so that it's white like that and it shouldn't show up under your save for later. But if I'm thinking that might be a unique situation. It's kind of hard to tell. We might have to look at that a little further some other time. Okay. All right.
Is there anything about the share icon on the upper right that is of interest? Is that just generally sharing with other team members? Pretty self-explanatory.
Right, yep, just sending a link basically. So it's pretty much the same thing as just taking the link up here and sending it to them. Just probably one less click, but nothing really too special there. There is, I don't know if you guys use the commenting function in here, but there you can make comments that people can see down here on any page really that you have access to. You should be able to comment on. So that's just another feature. We don't really use it very often. What else do we got
What is
here?
the watch icon? It was on the previous page right next to the
Let me go back.
yeah, the share.
Oh, watch. Yep. So that will make it so you'll get email notifications if things change on this page. So that can be kind of a little much if it's a page that gets changed a lot. But if you do want to follow what's happening on a page, you want to click on watch here and you'll get email notifications on what's been changed. And you can always change that by just unchecking that box. Let's see what else we got.
I have one other question. I noticed when you edit a page, it said there's a box at the bottom that says followers. So I always
Notify.
remember to uncheck it.
Right.
So is that a default? I don't see it all the time though. Do I?
I don't have the exact answer. I mean, I always have to uncheck that box as well. So I'm not sure if it is a default or if we can set it for a default. But I do the same exact thing. I always make sure that's unchecked so I don't bug people.
Because everybody that has access to that page will get an email.
As long as they're watching it. So not everybody would, if only people that are watching. Trying to think if there's anything else here. And there's probably a lot of little oddball things that you might find within Confluence, and those you can always call the help desk and we can try and help you out. But I think that's about all I have, unless you guys have questions.
No, it's been great, Cody. Had some good discussions in the chat room, and so yeah, and if anybody else has further questions, certainly we can let Cody know. So
awesome, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm not really used to giving presentations too much, so I'm sorry if it was a little rough.
You did great. You did wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate your time, spending your lunch hour here with us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks
Yeah.
much, Cody.
All right. You guys have a great weekend. Oh, yeah. Well, I'll have a great week.
Yeah, enjoy your time off.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.